Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Primum Podcast Program. In today's episode, our guest is Troy Shands, better known as the creator of the Flatline playing cards. Troy, thank you for your time today. Yeah, man, how you doing?
Well, Maxwell, I'm doing dandy, as I do say so myself. Doing quite
Yeah,
well.
yeah, man, that's good. First of all, thank you for your time. This was a very impromptu interview. We just
Of
do it
course,
at the
it's
moment.
me, Max.
So yeah,
Why would
man.
I give you time to plan?
Yeah, man. So, well, talk to me about how you've been doing, how you've been obviously doing with all your projects and all the stuff, how in general,
Well,
because we already made an interview preview.
just finished Flatline.
Yeah.
that project. It's behind me now. Moved on to bigger, better things.
Oh, yeah, man. So, you create obviously a successful project a couple of months ago. How is
How's my
how that
life after the fame? Oh, well, I gotta say, so many more girls have been approaching me. So much women. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
no, nothing's changed, Max. I'm still me. Still the Asian boy. Well, man now apparently, according to the law. But you know, it's not like fame is taking over my life. It's not like I just bought $200 worth of stuff. It's not like I'm spending my money on reckless things.
Yeah, man. So yeah, talk to me about when and why you start obviously doing cardistry, how many years you've been in the community and all this stuff.
Well, funny as it is, Max, as we're doing this interview, I'm not in the community.
Yeah.
I'm in a leave of absence
Hmm.
uh, because the community is too much for me. It's not what I need. I don't need it. I don't need it in my life right now. But
Yeah.
I still play with cards, Max, as you see. I still
Hmm.
play with cards. I still enjoy what I do. I've been doing it for 4 years now. Started back when I was in high school. Started doing
4 years.
Magic because my friend showed me a card trick and I lost my mind and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. And look at me
Yeah.
now. I think I have carpal tunnel.
Yeah, man.
So
I think that
that's
most
great.
of the people, that I've been interviewing, they all start with magic. They all start with
It's
magic and then make the transition to cardistry. How was that for you? That transition that you make of, magic and then to cardistry. How was that
uh,
type of transition and how you managed to do that?
well, technically the first thing I did was a riffle shuffle. I'm like, I'm gonna do this because I thought it was so cool. And like prior to that, I never like had an idea on how to do a riffle shuffle. So
Yeah.
I guess you could consider that the first flourish because it is considered a flourish. However, if we talk in terms of like actual card flourishing,
Yeah.
I did Magic straight for a couple of months without like knowing what flourishing was, and then I started like seeing like Sybil tutorials and Worm and like the card spring and the dribble, and then I started picking it up slowly but never really focused on it. And then 20 is it 20 late 2017 early 2018 is when I started
Mm-hmm.
doing cardistry more than Magic because I
All
just
right.
thought it looked cooler and like I could do more with it, like experiment. Like it's something I didn't know, and Magic was like, okay, I can't really learn Magic without having to buy something, and I don't like buying things. Well,
Okay.
that as ironic as that is, I do spend my money in some things, but not like specifically Magic, 'cause I just don't see any gain from it because I wasn't gonna like pursue
Mhm.
it. So I did cardistry just because I could learn it for free, and then now I just kind of do both. Sometimes I do sometimes Magic more, sometimes do cardistry more. Depends on the mood. Depends on the
Mm-hmm.
mood, but it's always one or the other.
Yeah. And talk to me. What are those? That everyone in here, obviously in the community, have like a role model or like a person that inspired to do
Mm.
cardistry or do magic. In my case, I used to watch a lot of videos of Spanish channels. Some
Mm.
Spanish channels. There were a few English channels that I watched, like Disturbed Reality and all type of channels like Scam School. I think that it was Scam School, I guess.
Yeah.
And the that I don't remember. So yeah, what are like those people in your case that you've been okay? These are the most channels that I watch all the time in terms of doing magic or doing cardistry.
So like the my inspirations, kind of like people I looked up to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
I wouldn't really say I did. I kind of just watched people on and off. I kind of watched Ramsey in
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, but then it just over time I just kind of stopped because it's like his
Oh,
stuff wasn't this kind of
Ramsey.
stuff I needed or I kind of wanted to know. It was just kind of like repetitive, like
Mm-hmm.
repeat of something else. So that was kind of like the only thing for
Yeah.
Magic. But for Cardistry, I never really looked up to anyone. I kind of just did my own thing. I never had like someone to
Oh,
focus my
okay.
style on or whatever
Yeah.
people do now. Like they try to aim for this kind of speed or like this flow. I just never did that. I was kind of like I'm just gonna shuffle cards, because
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? Like just shuffle cards fast, shuffle cards slow. You're still shuffling cards. It's just doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Still really doesn't, honestly. So I don't really look up to anyone. Kind of just do my
Yeah.
thing.
And man, it was that's something that is unique because at least most of the people, at least me, I have my people that I used to follow a lot, and I still follow, not that much as many years ago. But yeah, it's kind of unique. As I said, everyone has like his own unique path on doing this in the community. And talk to me about your style with cardistry. I've seen you in action, like it said, doing cardistry. Talk to me about your style. How do you feel or think that is your type of style of doing cardistry? Because you do have some really good moves on it, and I love your style and the way that you're doing cardistry. How do you manage to get that? How many hours obviously you put on it, and if you feel like calm with your style, you want to get improve it, or what are your goals to do? Okay, like I want to do this move and then I want to do this. Yeah, talk to me about that.
See, that's so funny because I just never had that mentality. I
Yeah.
never had like I never think of it as like oh I gotta do this. I gotta do like this for this many hours so I can get this good. I kind of just did it like throughout the day. It never really mattered, you know. And like the
Yes.
style I have just developed over time with like the kind of people that I saw and kind of like little aspects of like what they
Mm-hmm.
did. It's just like the stuff I do is like the stuff
Yeah.
I want to see. Like my style is like the kind of style I would, in theory, like to see from other people as well because it's what I think looks good. It's not like it's not. I don't really care what other people think of my style. It's more like, oh, I like the way this looks, so I'm gonna keep doing it, kind of thing. And like,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I don't plan out what moves I make. It's just like, oh, I think that's kind of cool. Then I do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I don't really make moves because like I'm just like people are gonna most likely be like, oh, that's a copy of something else. I'm like, I don't really care anymore. You know, if it is, it
Okay.
is. If it's not, then that's fine too. And it takes too
Yeah,
much
man.
brain
And
power to come up with this like complex, like innovative stuff. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just here to do this for fun.
Yeah, man, that's something that has say said very unique because most of the people they have like his own style of making cardistry. Other are more complicated. Other they just sit in the car in the room and start shuffling the cards. And yeah, as I said, that's what makes this community very unique because every cardist is different. But they obviously have like some kind of similar, style or similar motion on doing the cards. And but yeah, this next question comes to not related. It's not related to cardistry. Talk to me. I know that you do music. You play the guitar, and I don't remember if you play other instrument that you talked to me before. Talk to me about that. When you start doing playing that instruments, and yeah, yeah, that one. Talk
Uh,
to me
stuff.
when you start playing
When I start playing the
instrument
instrument.
and how you can relate it into cardistry because I've seen your video and most of them the most recent then you like mix the music and the cardistry the guitar you playing with the guitar and all the stuff how you mix them and how you why you start doing playing the
Okay.
guitar and talk
Yeah.
to me about that.
So I come from a musical background. My dad plays the guitar, so I kind of grew up just like
Oh
always around the guitar. And I like as a
yeah.
kid, I was always into like percussion, so I wanted to do drums. But we
Hmm.
could never just buy a drum set because it was just too loud, so I just never did that. We got a
Yeah.
cajon, which is like a box drum, so I did that for most of my childhood and like some parts of like when I moved to Canada. But I
Yeah.
picked up guitar finally. I finally picked up guitar, when I was 12, and
Hmm.
then I just like I just kind of gained interest from it over time. As like it's like fun,
Hmm.
it's a thing to play. like just learning something like my dad did, and like now I'm doing it. It's kind of cool to me.
Mhm.
So I just to me now guitar is like second nature. Like I feel like it's part of like a legacy, that started from my dad. Now I do it, and I hope my kids will
Yeah.
do it, even though I'm not that good at it as my dad. Like I just want to like pass on what like he started, and like I just want to not out of obligation, but just because I think it's cool, you know. But in terms of would you ask me about like what music, like how I interpret music into
Yeah,
cardistry?
how you mix music into cardistry? Because I've seen your videos and you do get to see yourself like playing the guitar, and like how do you mix both of them to
I
make your
think
videos?
what you mean is rather than mixing the music, but rather
Hmm.
mixing film with the music with the cardistry. Because I
Yeah.
don't play the music I use, but I use
Hmm.
myself like at least recently, because I initially Troy's hands was made for like just my hands, but then as
Yeah.
time grew, like oh I just kind of got lazy and like oh, whatever, I'll just show my face here and there. But with the stuff I'm doing recently, I put myself in there as like as a comedic relief because me myself I can't watch like a 5 minute long cardistry video without getting bored. I gotta be honest. It's like you see the same thing over and over, and it's like it gets boring to a point where like, okay, yeah, the stuff that everything gets lost, at least for me. Like it gets lost. I don't know what I'm looking at. Like I see a movie, it's like, okay, that's cool. But for me, I need something to break what I see to refresh my memory or like to refresh my eyes and then go back to
Hmm.
that thing, which is why I put myself in the video. Me playing
Yeah.
guitar is merely like, or like me playing guitar is a mere comedic relief to the whole idea of a video. But I try to do it as tastefully as I can in a spot where it's like, oh, that's kind of funny that it should be there. And like in terms of how the music is like set up and like I think it's a good spot to put it there where it's not
Hmm.
too like the music isn't too intense where like there's a lot of going on in the background and putting that there just kind of gets lost. I put it like in a very mellow spot and like I do put well I think in the video that we're referring to I put like a clip there of like cardistry that just kind of eases it in and then moves on. But yeah, most of it is relating film to the cardistry to the music rather than the actual music of me playing music. But yeah.
Yeah, man. I do play the guitar too, and it's very awesome, um, knowing this type of arts because actually the music is very awesome art, and getting the ability to combine cardistry with music, it's awesome because you combine those type of art and make some awesome content. So
Yeah.
yeah, the next question goes, you also do editing stuff and you do designs, has before you got your own projects before, and also you design stuff apart to cards. I've seen your while I was doing the research before the interview, I've seen that you make some awesome pictures of yourself. This are very awesome. How did you get obviously when and where did you learn to design and to editing? We talked about this before, and you talked to me that you just did it, you just start doing it, and it was very funny. But yeah, talk to me about that.
You've been saying awesome a lot, I'm
Yeah.
getting a little pink, rosy cheeks, Max. Getting rosy cheeks, but I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. I did just kind of do it.
Hmm.
A lot of this, like for me, like the where it all started was film, because I always had like I back in the day, I always like used to look up to Casey Neistat and like how he was able to just like mix all these aspects and to make it look very fluid. And at the same time, he was very big at the time. A lot of people were
Yeah.
trying to copy his style. So it all started with film. I worked like every day to like try to create something and like make videos and like understand like the inner workings of a program of a camera. And the design kind of just came afterwards because in high school I took like a digital arts course. I only took one. I didn't take anything else because I just wanted to learn how to use Photoshop because I just never did. And that
Hmm.
entire course I had to learn Illustrator, Photoshop, and Flash. I only learned
Oh,
Photoshop. I didn't know anything else.
that's
So
a
I
lot.
the only thing I took from that class was Photoshop and I ran with it. And all my old stuff was all like me experimenting with Photoshop. And at the time I was like very new to cards. So
Hmm.
for me, it was like an outlet into experimenting with different aspects I could use, which is why Troy's hands became a thing. So I was
Yeah.
experimenting on what I could do with the new knowledge I had with like the digital arts of filming, photography, Photoshop, not Illustrator yet. Illustrator I learned later down the line. So a lot of the stuff you see is just really me messing around. Like as genuine as like as odd as it is, it was just me just like
Hmm.
going out there and just doing something. I saw something that I thought looked cool and I tried to mimic it, which is why a lot of my early stuff is like a lot of Shano ripoffs because I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna see if I can do that without looking for help. That's it, you know. The one you're referring to, the cartoon I saw, like who was it? Was it Michelle? Michelle Shuffle Stuffle. I saw she did a cartoon. I'm like, I want to see if I can do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I did. Took me hours, but I
Uh,
did it. Some of them actually took days to finish. Now I just kind of don't do them because I'm like, it's kind of a waste of time. And it's like I don't really gain anything from it anymore because I know the skill, so I moved on. Uh, I don't think I've done a lot of projects prior to Flatline. Well, I just do some stuff like for myself, I guess. I just don't put them out there if I don't think they're good. But
hmm.
yeah, that's just kind of I just kind of just did learn it on the fly. Illustrator was a pain
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, man, it is a pain. I still learning some stuff on Illustrator.
Me too, me
But
too.
yeah, man, that's something that is some awesome tools that you can get and create some awesome content. So yeah, I know that you're a person that you're straightforward. If you want to say something, you just say it and point, period. Talk to me about what are your thoughts in the community? You said before that you're kind of you quit or took a break by this, you know, took a break from the community after your latest project. But yeah, talk to me about the community.
Yeah. So
The community have evolved a lot from the years, you know. With the
yeah,
community
yeah.
it's not the same community that we see 4 years ago, the same
It's not.
community that is
It's
now.
not.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, I'm probably gonna get flack for this, but I really don't care. It's you're
Yeah.
asking me for my opinion, so I'm gonna share it. Like when I first started, the community was not
Hmm.
as big as you would say. Like I would say I entered the community fully at like the point where it's transitioning to what it is now. Like it's like starting to become big. A lot of people starting to join. But
Hmm.
when I first started joining, a lot of people were like very friendly. Or they're still friendly now, but like it's like very new. It just felt new. Like everyone just didn't know what they were doing. They're kind of just like there doing their stuff. If they saw
Yeah.
something cool, and they, oh, that's cool, and like they would help each other out. But
Hmm.
like as it goes on, like I noticed like people started to cater more to like what cards they have. Like they had the collector mentality, which to me is just not something I'm into because I don't collect cards. I buy cards to play with cards. I don't
Yeah.
have sealed decks. If I'm gonna be completely
I'm the
honest,
same.
I don't have
I'm the
anything to
same, man.
sell. Like
Yeah, me
I buy
too.
them, I use them. If they go bad, I feel bad, and then I just move on because like, I'm not gonna buy it again, you know, because prices
Yeah.
skyrocket. But over time, you know, the community, for me at least, like people's point of view is always different. But I always saw like I started seeing a transition from like just making stuff and just like doing something cool to like, oh, you don't have fontaines, like you don't have anyone's, you don't have dealer script, like you're not good, you know? Someone could just be using bicycle but make it cool move like, oh yeah, you're not using fontaines, you're not cool, you know? And
Yeah.
it started
And
developing into this hype culture, which I personally really don't like because it's just if you don't have the latest or the best of the best, it's like you're just kind of nothing, at least for me, right? I don't
yeah.
surround my life or base my life off like the newest gear. I just kind of do what I can with what I have, and I just wish for something new or something
Hmm.
better, but I still work with what I have. And like as the community gets bigger, like more people join, right? And like the more
Yeah.
people join have all different like point of views. They come from a different community. They bring that like mentality they have with that community to this one. And it's like it can get toxic. I gotta say, as people don't want to like see it. I'm a very neutral person. I don't go from side to side. I try to keep it middle. I try to like see both sides and to understand it. But like
Hmm.
as time goes on, like I see like there is some toxicity in terms of like new people come in who just like
Yeah.
they fanboy or fangirl over this one person, and then like whoever like has something similar, do they just like, oh yeah, you copied off this so and so, and it's like it's just kind of discouraging for me to like just continue like being within a community that just kind of just bashes on people and focuses on playing cards rather than cardistry itself. And of course, there are people who still focus on the art, right?
Hmm.
And those guys are great, and like they don't care about cards; they just do it because like they have the creativity for it and they can just do it. And there are people who are within hype like brands that are still good, but for me, it's just like it's just been so overran by just hype, and it's like it's
Yeah.
so overwhelming for me. It's like I just don't even know if I want to be here anymore. All the people that I knew back in the day started quitting. Like people I knew for me locally, like they started quitting cars because it's not fun anymore. You know?
Yeah, and that's something that I've said before. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, what is the point of doing? You
Exactly.
know,
So
that's something that Humans of Cardistry talked before on his Instagram page. And if you don't enjoy doing something, man, there's no point of doing it.
yeah, and
And yeah, that's
for me,
kind
I
of
still enjoy doing it. I just don't enjoy the community. Like
yeah, man.
I
And
still shuffle cards. I just
that's
don't
very
like
that
posting it.
yeah, that's very funny because this comes to my next question that
Oh,
you kind
a
of answer
transition.
it.
A transition.
Um, what what are your thoughts on these hype brands? That you kind of answered that question, but yeah, I want you to go more in depth in that
Go
question.
in
What
detail.
are you
Okay, about hype
on
brands.
how about hype brands? Fontaine, Dealer's Grid, because Fontaine, those are really awesome brands. But especially the way that they manage their business, because to be honest, cardistry is a business.
It is.
Cardistry, there always turns, these ways on
A lot
getting
of things.
money.
It's like
Yeah,
as most things in the world, it's a drive by money. You know.
yeah. So yeah, talk to me about that.
Hype brand. I mean, I've said it before. I don't really care much for hype brands. I don't buy, like I said, I don't buy cards to like keep them and sell them. I buy cards to use them. And if they're hype brand cards and I actually genuinely like, then yeah, I'll use them. But
Mm-hmm.
like I think I've said it to you like on a call like
Yeah.
cardistry designs over time like you can see like there's a shift in each one and people just eat it up because of the name. Like
Mm-hmm.
what was it? Checkerboards were the first, and yeah, those were cool because like they had that asymmetrical concept. Then dots came out, and that was still cool because like asymmetrical, right? But people knocked it off because like oh, it's knocked with a red dot, it's funny, but
Yeah.
they once for me at least once you do it again and again and again and again, it's like where's the creativity with that? You're recoloring something again and again. It's like the original concept was good, but could you push it further? Right, and my mentality, of course, is different from way back when because I just thought they were look cool. But like having like like making flatline and like trying to fight for this deck and trying to make it made like in a market where it's saturated by hype brands was really made me realize that they're just doing what they did prior or like before. And like
Mm-hmm.
Fontaine, I for me, I don't know, I'm cross with Fontaine because like Zach's had a big rep in the community. He's done so much. And I feel like it sounds hypocritical, but I feel like he's fine to do what he does. Because he does so much and they're still creative, but they still retain like the original like F to it, He's doing so many collabs, he's like redesigning the face cards and like everything. Like he's working so hard for the community. I'm like that's chill. But I don't know. Anyone for me, it's like it's a brand that just I just don't get. Like the cards to me, they're all the same.
Yeah,
And
and they handle pretty great. I think that, but to be honest, I buy most of the anyone cards not for the design, just for the handle of the cards.
mm,
Because to be honest, that's something they have done very good because they anyone cards have some really good handle, and they last a lot. At least in here in Puerto Rico, I don't know if that kind of depends on the weather, but at least in here where I live, my anyone playing cards, I could use them all day and they still fanning really good. But yeah, that kind of is the way, or the reason why I buy most of the cards. I don't have the whole collection. I just have like 3 or 4 decks from anyone. But yeah.
I mean the feel, like I've feel to me doesn't really matter. Like I like it matters, but not to the extent of
Hmm.
like paying an extra amount for that feel when you can get something cheaper for about like feels the same.
Yeah.
Like Orbit does pretty well, especially with that printing like a huge gross of like a huge amount and like pricing it like reasonably for people to buy. Like looking at hype brands or like the big cardistry brands, they print they print small and they sell expensive, which to me is just like I get it's limited, but if you really want people to have your cards rather than just being hype, why not just print more and let everyone have it? I mean, they did like anyone specifically did, and like the forever checks. And I think they did the second run of it, and like I guess that's cool, but it's like everything else is. just hype over hype over hype. Like a good
Yeah.
example, everyone's been bashing on, at least from what I remember. I don't know. It's like on Lotus. Lotus has been doing some
Yeah.
really interesting stuff with their decisions with marketing and like production. So it's just I feel like Lotus is taking it to a whole different step where I'm just like, honestly, dude, there's no point anymore, right?
Yeah, especially with this 5 minute windows that
Yeah.
they sold really fast. So yeah.
Like I don't think they really care for at least for me, I don't think they care about the people anymore. I think they just care about the hype because hype can really bring you up the ranks. Because if you're not hype, people won't know who you are, but you're still a brand, but people like don't get the same recognition as people who are hype, which is kind
Hmm.
of dumb because, I guess you could like in the beginning both work equally the same. It's just one just generated one or a fan base in a different sense than the other, even though they're both, I guess, practically the same. I don't know. I just really don't like hype cards, dude. It just hurts my head when people like, oh yeah, I sold this thing for like $200, and it's like it's paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense, man. Because this is just only a piece of paper put at this time.
It's
So
like it's like
yeah.
56 pieces of paper with a bunch of ink and like
Yeah, man.
it's honestly
And
crazy.
yeah, and this come to my next question. You have done some other projects, but instead, obviously, a part of the playing cards, your latest project that was the Kickstarter of the playing cards. You have done some videos. One of them was the Toronto Jam. Was the name? Correct me if I'm wrong.
You mean
Was
my
the Toronto
videos?
Jam? Yeah, your videos. How do
Yeah.
you obviously what is the creative process in terms of how you? Yeah, guys, we're back again. Sorry for that. I have some kind of trouble in here. So yeah, sorry. My next question was that yeah, obviously apart to the playing cards project that you do, you have done some other projects like the videos or the art that you made before. Talk to me about that. How, especially on your last video that you made
Oh yeah,
was the
you like
Toronto.
that one? Yeah, yeah. Lost time. Lost. Yeah, we.
Yeah, and it was very awesome. And how do you obviously how much time do you spend on it, on recording, editing, and on the planning and planning the video?
See, it's so funny because like I tell myself like I'm gonna plan this out or like I'm gonna plan a video out and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like I set myself a time frame. Like I'm gonna finish this in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And then I film it and I'm like, I'm finished in one day.
Yeah, that's kind of
But
it's kind of crazy because most of the videos some people they took months, all of them, some of them they took weeks, and as you said before, they took one day of filming, edit, and all the stuff. That's
yeah,
kind of,
because for
weird
me,
that.
I don't start a project, at least in Cardistry, right? Because for me, it's music and then
Mhm.
it's the video. Because if the
Yeah.
music is bad, then the video is gonna be equally as bad. So
Hmm.
ever since I started like making these edits, I always find music first and I listen to it fully, or at least listen to a part that I'm going to use because I usually do a minute time frame. But since now I really don't care, I just do however long I feel like the video should be. But I always listen to a piece and I in my head, it's always like this is like how I usually have my creative process. It's never like on a piece of paper. It's always what can I picture with this song? Can I picture myself doing these moves? Can I picture myself filming in this setting? Like what's it gonna be? What's the lighting situation? Like how I'm gonna edit this? Like
Hmm.
what's my LUT gonna be? Like and if I can't picture that, I don't go with it. And like there have been examples of like really bad videos where I just kind of like hammer it in.
Yeah.
But my really good ones, or like my at least my personal favorite ones, those just came on the whim where like I heard the song and I'm like, I can picture what I'm gonna do. It's like I know what I'm gonna do. I know how I'm gonna film it. I know what this part should look like or this part should feel. And I know the moment that at this moment this should happen. And if I can picture that, I can easily film it. So
Yeah.
with the Toronto Jam thing, that was held back by like a year. We are supposed to do that
Hmm.
back in March when like the pandemic started. I was talking to the
Yeah.
people in the Toronto Jam thing. We were like, we're gonna do it in like April because we talked about it in March, and then we just never did it. And then Kate came to me. She's like, hey, let's do a Toronto Jam video. I'm like, you know what? If you can get people, I'll do it. And I just needed to find a song. And I didn't really, in my head, know how I was gonna do it at all. Like it was just zero planning, zero anything. But once I hear a song that I know that I like, and I can imagine like the vibe or like the feeling I want to portray with it, I can easily film something, edit it, put it together, and put it out. But
Okay.
it's like that one took like the longest time because of the people had to send me clips. But usually, if it's by myself, like the one, like the couple previous to that, those were all done like within a day or two. Because if I hear a song, I can picture what I'm doing, then I can finish it that same day. Which is
Mm-hmm.
bad because if I need to reshoot something, then I have to, compensate for the fact that I didn't do it because I just don't remember what I did. But it's a very bad process of thinking because it's very scattered and like in order
Yeah.
to get a good video, it's like you're really relying on that feeling to translate perfectly onto your timeline. So far, I've done pretty well, but I'm not planning on changing it soon because I've just liked the way I think. And like to me it's like the best way for me to express like all my stuff right now. And the video I'm working on right now that should come out in
Mm-hmm.
December because I'm
Oh,
still
nice.
waiting on a certain weather.
Mm-hmm.
Um it was off the whim. I was like watching a show one day and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make a video. I heard a song, it
That's
clicked to
very
me as to
random.
what I want to do, and I'm like, I just went with it. So like 80% of the video's done, and I started like yes yesterday. So or 2 days ago, 2 days ago or yesterday. I don't
That
really
is
know when I started.
that's actually very random.
Yeah, that's when I get the most creative when I just have nothing to do. Because like if I force myself to do it, then I'm like okay, that's just kind of a dumb idea. Which
Yeah.
is why I don't really post. Or like when I post, it's like always such a random time. I don't plan these things out. When I
Mm-hmm.
do, it's just bad. It's a weird fix.
So yeah, man, that's as I said, everyone has like different creative process, and you have your own creative process. I have my own creative process, and that's what makes every single person unique. And so yeah, my last question for this interview is obviously you have plans, as you said before, on the last question, you plan on a video that's going to be released in hopefully in December. But talk to me about the other stuff that is coming. Are you planning making a new deck? Are you going to make a new deck or not? Are you going to make a new video additional to that? Talk to me. What's the next for you, Troy?
So what's next for me is to find a job.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing in my life right now. But in terms of the creative stuff,
Hmm.
um, I'm in no rush to do much lately because of how heavy Flatline was. It took like 2 years to finish, and I'm mentally drained from looking at Illustrator playing card designs.
Yeah.
Like at least when I have to start them from ground up, like I'll occasionally draw something up and like just be like, oh, that's cool, and just leave it there. But like
Mhm.
I get like these little spurs of like I want to do something, then I do it, then after that I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just do it next time, and I finish it, and I just do it like just don't look into it again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess playing cards are cool. If I'm ever like I'm gonna do this, yeah, I guess I'll do it. If it's something like I'm really into it, like I'm really passionate about like the theme of a deck, I guess you'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna see that through the end, and I'm gonna make that a thing. But for me right now, it's just really uh, sparking creativity because my most creative when I don't know what I'm doing. As weird as it is. Because if I know what
Yeah.
I'm doing, it's like I force myself to be like, oh yeah, you got to do that, that, that. But like I'm just like sitting here doing nothing. Like, oh, you know what? Let me do that. And if it turns out good, it turns out good. Turns out bad, it's a good try. I'll do something else again. So
Okay.
it's like I guess if I make something, then it'll just be at the most random time.
Yeah, man. So yeah, thank you obviously for your time. It's always good to having this type of talk with you. And yeah, as always, I'm going to be posting the interview on YouTube, and the first minutes are going to be obviously on my IGTV channel. And as always, I'm going to be posting Troy's profile so you can guys take a look at it to all
Yeah,
his
dude, your
contact,
local
to all
Asian
his
card
work.
shuffler.
Yeah. So yeah, man, thank you for your time to again, and
Thank you for
hopefully we
letting
can
me peer
have
pressure you into doing this.
yeah. That was very
I told you
weird
that the most
interview.
random at like or the most
So
spontaneous at
yeah.
the time. Ugh.
So yeah, man. Obviously, thank you for your time, and yeah, I hope that this is not the first and the last time. But yeah, see you in the
Oh,
next
you're gonna make
episode.
me. I'm gonna be in another podcast. Heck yeah.
I don't know, probably. Goodbye.